All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Aptivada's Tips and Tricks. My name is Tim Sessions. I'm the Director of Client Services, and with me today I have Ryan Garcia, who will also be presenting part of this Tips and Tricks call as well. So we're tag teaming it today. We have a lot of information to talk about concerning galleries. The reason why we chose this subject is because we've seen a lot of interest in our gallery application. They've been instrumental in providing content for you to use and to share. In fact, before it was called Gallery, it was called the UGC UGC, which was a user-generated content contest. So hopefully, if you've ran galleries, you are using them to generate content for users, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. First of all, I wanted to point out that in the chat is the link to enter our giveaway. We give away $100 to Amazon at the end of these tips and tricks calls. So if you're new around here, that's something to look forward to. So take this opportunity to enter. We'll also give you a minute or two at the end of the call if you've joined late to enter as well. Also, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask those in the Q&A section of this presentation. What it does is it puts your questions in a queue so we can address those when we pause for questions during the presentation. So we'll give a few opportunities to answer questions on live on air, and we'll just take a look at those. So if anything comes up that you have a question about, don't hesitate to place it in the Q&A section. If you chat it to us, we'll see it, but maybe not everyone else will, and maybe your question will help out other people. You also have the opportunity to upvote those questions as well. So if it's something that you are interested in learning, you can upvote the questions. We already have a comment in the chat. If you're entering the promotion, just make sure that you click the link. Maybe you don't see the link because you joined late, so let me throw that in there once more and click that link in the chat. All right, so our agenda for today, we're going to talk about the Back to School National Promotion that we've announced. We also are hosting a new tips and tricks, and it's more so an Aptivada for beginners. And the target audience there are people who are new to the admin, who might not have had a full walkthrough, a full presentation, and it's going to be the same every month. So if you've attended one, then the content will be the same for the next month as well. And we just target new admins, and again, people who might need a refresher, as we understand that roles and obligations are changing within companies. And so we wanted to offer that as kind of a, hey, this is something that happens at the end of every month. It's something that you can count on. And if there's somebody new at your company, then you can direct them to that. Those are also recorded as well. So it's basically just a full live training. So keep that in mind. And then we're going to talk about the gallery ideas that actually work. I have a couple of examples. And then Ryan and I, speaking of Aptivada for Beginners, that one will be presented by Ryan Garcia. So that's the fourth Thursday of every month at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, with that, Ryan is on this call, and he's going to be helping me present the ins and outs of building a gallery. So let's just jump right into it. Our $1,000 back to school giveaway is now live for you to sign up at ideas.aptivada.com. You can see the link to sign up there on the screen. But the run dates of the promotion are August 3rd to September 6th, and signups for the stations for everyone on this call to have this added to their account. That will be closing July 24th of this year, obviously. But the prize is $500 for you and $500 for your school. So kind of a buy or a win one, give one type scenario there. But what we provide is the contest execution, the $1,000 prize, rules, all applicable winner paperwork and tax information, the generic images, and some copy ideas. So that is coming up and it's live now to sign up for. All right, let's talk about some gallery ideas that actually work. I've pulled together 3 that you might find interesting. These are all unique ones that, you know, we're coming off the cusp of talking about senior spotlights. I know that some areas are still impacted by shutdowns and shelter in places, and you know, depending on what state or what country you're in, and the level of going out, you know, we're kind of seeing a tail end of business boost type gallery contests. So I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. Now, I still encourage you to run those style of galleries where you're highlighting local businesses and so forth, and helping out in the community there. But as those have had some runtime, here are some other galleries that you can run. This one just came in to us called From This Stream Forward, and basically it was couples who were competing to win a live stream, all expense paid virtual wedding. And so they submitted their love stories and had their friends and family vote on who should win, and one lucky couple won the live stream wedding. So there were 33 submissions, and that's understandable. A wedding is a huge commitment, and so you got to be serious if you're going to enter this type of promotion. Be ready to tie the knot. But the thing that I wanted to point out is the submission to vote ratio. So over 1,100 votes on this promotion, getting a lot of engagement for, you know, these submissions. So great opportunity for Lightning 100. One thing that we thought was really neat about it is it was picked up by some local TV news coverage, and the actual event was streamed live on Facebook. So anyone could have tuned in and attended that wedding, but as you can see, it looks like there's family and friends that were able to tune in there as well. So that's one thing that I wanted to talk about, was partnering with you know, local media sources on these types of promotions. If you're a radio station, maybe you can work with the TV station to get some of the submissions submitted on air, or vice versa. If you're a TV station and you're doing, let's say, like a Battle of the Bands type promotion, then maybe you can partner with a local radio station and get some airplay for these for these bands. So great cross promotion here for Lightning 100. Again, we saw this morning, and I had to throw it in the tips and tricks. Another one came to us last year. This was a fall colors photo contest, and I know that we're barely, you know, halfway through spring here, but it is time to start thinking about future promotions. So I wanted to throw this fall colors photo contest by KTVK down in Arizona. The prize was a $500 gift card to the Arizona, and a year pass to Arizona state parks, which is awesome. It's a great way to encourage people to get outdoors and enjoy nature, especially as we've all been cooped up. And you know, whatever situations we find ourselves in through social distancing, this is a great way to encourage you know, to get out, take photos, and really enjoy the community in a safe manner. In fact, quick story, my wife is really interested in buying a mountain bike, but here in Utah, the shops that we've checked out, they've all been sold out. So it sounds like that's what people are doing, is they're ready to get out and explore their community. So this is a great way to help encourage that. So they had 869 submissions and 1,814 total votes. Now, the last one that I want to talk about is one that if I didn't practice what I preach, then you know, what good is my advice? So I run a local website here called This Is Ogden, and a few years ago, in fact, this is my 3rd year doing it, I created a calendar contest on my site. Same kind of idea as that Amazing Arizona Fall Color Photo Contest, where people go out, take pictures of the community, and I compile a calendar. And so this is, again, a great thing for you to do. It could be a, you know, a company sponsored calendar, or you could tie in a client to sponsor the calendar. But this one is going to run for about a month and a half. The first half of the promotion is the submission period. The second half is the voting period. Currently, there's 188 total submissions, and total votes are to be determined. So hopefully I'll have a update for you on future tips and tricks calls. But last year, the calendar contest got over 5,000 votes. And the winners, there were 13 winners. There was a cover winner and then 12-month winners. So it really gets that engagement, people sharing, saying, hey, I want to vote for, or, vote for my photo in the calendar. So I have this opportunity to win. So if you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to ask. I can tell you about that. I did put the price per calendar that I sell them for. That's a little side gig that I'm doing. But maybe this could be a free community calendar, and part of the buy-in for clients is to be a sponsor of that calendar. The photos are all sourced through the community. This is, the ones that make it into the calendar are strictly community submitted, community voted. The only thing I have say in is if the photos are low resolution, too low to be included in the calendar, because you also want to be able to put out quality content there. So with that, those are a few gallery ideas that work that you can throw in. You don't always have to have a prize associated with gallery. That's what's great about it. If you want to just do a local community gallery contest, then you can throw those up at any time, and we'll be talking about that in just a little bit. So with that, we're going to do a full, a full gallery walkthrough on today's call, and hopefully what's going to happen is things will be pointed out to you that maybe you've overlooked. And the reason why I'm assuming this is because gallery is such a big tool. There's so many different opportunities that you can run with gallery, and that's why I've asked Ryan to jump in as well, and you'll be hearing from him in just a second to help me talk about it. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. For those of you who let me share the dashboard here. So if you saw in my email, there was an opportunity for you to submit photos to a gallery, and the message said, let's build a gallery together. So it's this Aptivada tips and tricks photo contest. I know that it said Mayflowers, but really anything goes. We just wanted some submissions here. Now, there's a few things that I wanted to talk about right off the top of the bat when building a gallery. Depending on what your goals are, there's 3 different schedules that you have to keep in mind. The first schedule is going to be the overall schedule. So that's when it appears live on your promo grid, if you utilize that, or if it appears live on your website. That's this overall schedule at the top here. Now, scrolling down, you have your voting options, and you have the opportunity to add a voting start time and a voting end time. That's obviously going to be your voting period. Now, in my This is Ogden calendar contest, I have a submission period, which actually comes before the voting period, obviously. So we're going to jump down to the layout editor, and you have the opportunity to schedule the add your own submission button at the top here. Now, if you don't have a schedule in there, then that button will stay live, and you can submit photos at any time. But in my case, I'm going to do a submission portion first, and then just to give everyone a fair advantage, turn the button off and have the voting go live there. So you have those 3 schedules. You have your overall schedule, the voting schedule, and the submission schedule. So scrolling back up to the top here, you can title your contest, and if you don't have a prize secured yet, you can still build out your gallery before you have a prize, so keep that in mind. But under more settings, this is where you can edit your terms and conditions, your disclaimer text, your fine print text. But a question that we get asked a lot, and I want to make sure that you guys are clear on where to find this, it's under the more settings button, is you want to be notified every time a photo comes in. The reason being is you don't want the photos to sit in the new and unapproved section for too long, because then they don't appear on the contest there. So if you want to be notified every time somebody submits a photo, you just input your email address here. So, I could put tim@appdevada.com. And in fact, you can even comma separate and add multiple email addresses if you want to as well. So anytime somebody submits, then I will receive an email for that. So keep that in mind if that's something that you want to do, so that you can be reminded each time somebody submits a photo. There is that choice. Now, another thing that you can do, and the question that might come to you is why, is you can actually pull in a sweepstakes form into a gallery. Now, there's a few reasons that you might want to do this. One is, let's say you have a contest, a sweepstakes, that you're accepting photo submissions to, but you don't necessarily have a front-facing gallery to that. However, you can build a gallery on the back end and use the gallery to be a quick viewer for those photos coming in. And so all you would do there is click Add a Source or Entry Form. First, you'd want to delete out the entry form that comes in as a default when you build a new gallery. You delete that by clicking X. And then under source type, you'd select Use Sweepstakes Form. And once you select that, then it'll bring up a list of all the sweepstakes you can pull in from. So you can select the one that might have your gallery submission button on it. Now, again, that's a great way to view photos being submitted through a sweepstakes through the back end. You don't have to have this be live. It doesn't have to be a front-facing gallery. But you can still view the photos. Because if you run it as just a sweepstakes and you're wondering what the photos look like, if you download the CSV file from that sweepstakes, then we give you the links to all those photos to where you can view them. But by connecting it to a gallery on the back end, you'll actually be able to view the photos, and you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to have this, even have a start and end time to be able to view the submissions there. So that's one reason why you'd want to connect a sweepstakes to a gallery. You just kind of use a gallery as a viewer on the back end. The other is, if for some reason you want to give away bonus entries to people who are submitting photos, if you're choosing from bonus entries, if you notice, our standard form that comes with the gallery has step 3 grayed out, and that's where bonus entries are built. So if you're giving away something just for somebody submitting a photo, and following on Instagram or Twitter is an incentive there, then you can use a sweepstakes form and tie that into a gallery as well. The reason why it's grayed out in a standard gallery is because we assume that when you build a gallery and you're determining a winner through submissions, it's generally through voting. So we consider the votes as your bonus entries when choosing a winner that way, because you can actually choose from well, we'll take a look at the choose winner in just a second, but basically you can choose randomly based on the amount of votes. That doesn't mean if I have the most votes that I'll win, but I have a better opportunity to win at random with the votes allowed. So setting up the entry form is pretty familiar to you guys. It looks just like our sweepstakes form if you're not familiar with setting up a gallery. But the piece that I wanted to point out is there's actually this little drop down that either you've wondered what it is and have been afraid to click it, or you just haven't known what to do with it. And it's this thumbnails separate button. Now, this is great. Let's say you are running, let's say, a Battle of the Bands type contest, or submit your single from your CD type contest, and the video has been uploaded to YouTube, but you want the album cover art to be the thumbnail before clicking into the video. Well, you can actually add an additional input field. It could be a gallery submission field, or it could be a simple file upload field. And you just select upload an image. We could make it optional if we wanted to. And then what you can do here is, if I position it correctly, let's say I want it above my above my gallery submission, then I can click choose thumbnail field. Whoops, I connected it to the wrong one. Whoops, sorry about that. Let me get rid of that here. And There's my file upload there. So now I can submit a thumbnail, and then once it's clicked in, then it shows the full display. Another use case for that, we had a contest called the Junior Reporter Contest, and the upload a separate thumbnail field was used for that child's headshot, and then when you clicked into that headshot, then it played the video of them reading the news. So you can have a separate thumbnail display on your gallery before clicking into the actual submission. So that's what that thumbnail separate button does there. Voting options, pretty straightforward. Again, you can schedule it. Votes per person, how many times somebody can vote per day for entire contests and so forth. Vote type, Facebook or email only. You can also require an email confirmation, meaning that if I go to vote, it's going to send me an email with a code. I have to come back and verify that that's a real email address in order to vote on that submission. And I would only have to do that once as a participant. Sure, up front it might add an extra step, but once I've verified my email address, if I could vote once per day, then I wouldn't have to verify my email address every time that I go to vote. So that's a great way to kind of filter out and make sure that you're getting the correct votes there. And then required voter info, this is just what you can ask for when people go to vote. So you can even have them opt into your newsletters or opt into a sponsor's newsletter or anything of that sort. You can add any sort of checkbox there. So with that, it looks like we do have a question. And then I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. So the question is, on your calendar submissions, do you ask users to submit a low-res file, but let them know that you'll need a high-res file if their photo is selected for the printed calendar? So I'm going to go ahead and answer that now. Yes, so the way that I've done it is in the rules, I've stated that if the file is low-res, then, we need to get a high-res photo, and then from there, if it works, then we can use it. If not, we'd have to go to the second highest votes for that month. So I make sure that that's determined in the terms of the contest. But yes, it is good to make sure that that's an upfront communication, because in there, if you look at the contest, there is a few that are just screenshots of from somebody's photo app. So not the best photos come in. I do approve every photo that comes in just to build up that content, but yeah, you do want to be upfront about making sure that they have a high-res version. And you can do that through a checkbox. I didn't on mine, but you could have a checkbox where they just check that they verify that they have the original photo. And generally anything from a modern smartphone these days is good enough resolution for these calendars. I haven't had much of an issue there, but that's a great question. That is important to check. Thank you for asking. If there are any other questions, we'll be happy to answer. But with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Ryan. I'll stop sharing my screen so he can share his. Welcome, Ryan.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Ryan. I'm a longtime listener, first-time host to one of these webinars, but I'll be walking you through a gallery. Let me share my screen now. So what my goal here is to show you guys how to create a gallery from one of our templates and to be able to customize it and make it look well done in our desktop layout. So right now I'm in the templates. I'm going to go into gallery. And from there, it's almost Father's Day, so I'm going to choose a Father's Day gallery. So let me scroll down and find one. Let's do the selfie with dad rather. Then I'll add that to my promotions. So now I have my gallery here. I have all my graphics that I need. But what I'm going to be showing you is how to customize down here. So right here, this box that I'm clicking around and dragging, this is the actual gallery. And then the box that it's inside of, where our graphic is located, that's our container. So what I'm going to show you is how to customize this to kind of make it fit better and make it and design it to look good as well. So let's click on the layout editor. And you'll see here there's a couple different presets. I'm going to go with trendy for this one. And now you can see my gallery is actually overlapping my graphics here. So I'll show you how to change that. We could do it down here by dragging our container, but there's also another way we could do it inside of the layout editor, just in case we can't drag it down far enough. So let's do this. And that's as far as we could go right now, but there's a way past that. So let's go into the layout editor now. And I'll turn on my entry button just so I can show you a little customization tip there as well. But let's scroll down to the bottom and click on Customize Layout. And so what we can do here, here's all of our thumbnail sizes, which are going to be inside our gallery. So if we change them, that's going to change the size there. And then we can also customize how many thumbnails that we have per page. So for this one, I'm going to do 16. So I think that will look good having 16 in our gallery per page, and then go from there. We could change our theme color here. So I'm going to choose a bit of a blue color to go with our gallery image background. So I think that will look all right there. I'll click choose, and then you could change the font color, and I'll choose a white font for that. So now we have that, and then our button is still showing as green, our entry button. What we could do there is change the button color, and I'll also change that to sort of blue shade. And then you could change the button text color as well, and I'll do white as well there. So now you can see we have that changed, and we still have our gallery floating around too high here. So now I'll show you how to change that. We'll go down here to the desktop layout settings, and we'll stop right here at container width, or at the container height rather. And I'll drag this over and put it down further. And you could even go overboard with this. You could type in 2000 if you want, and it will go down. It'll go down that far, but that's kind of overkill for right now. And we can also control how wide it is as well. So I'll go back to around 800. I could just type it in to be exact. So now I have that changed there. So let's drag this down. And now we have that fitting perfectly in our gallery. And you'll notice here, the very bottom of this is cut off. So what we'll do is we'll just click here on our gallery and drag it down. And now we can see the rest of those images fine, as well as the next page options. And so yeah, those are some of the, that's kind of a simple way to do it there. And you'll see we have our voting buttons here. And these are going to show up on our preview, but if you don't turn your voting date on, they won't appear on the actual gallery. But just to be safe, we could turn that off. So I'll scroll down here in the thumbnail settings, and it says show voting buttons on preview, and we'll click this checkbox off, and bam, they're gone. And now we don't have to worry for that in case we're not doing a voting contest. And so now that we have it, I have a customized design, and it's looking pretty good. At least I think so. And that's kind of how you could change a couple of your customizable settings down there in the desktop layout editor.
Great, thanks, Ryan.
Yep. And let me stop sharing.
All right. Let me pull my screen back up, and we will wrap things up here. We just have a few more things to point out. At any time, feel free to ask some questions. The intention of this is to just cover all things gallery. Hopefully, you'll learn some new things. We might have some gallery experts in here already. So we appreciate you as you go through this refresher course. One thing that I wanted to reiterate with what Ryan was talking about is we have the layout preview down here at the bottom, so you can see how everything lays out. But your final preview, your best source of what this is going to look like live on your page is to click the preview button. So get your layout all nice and customized, and then click the preview button, and you can see how these photos will lay out on your site, because this is a live snapshot of what your contest looks like on desktop and mobile. Okay, so that's setting up a gallery. There's different ways that you can run a gallery. You can submit your own photos internally and have people vote. So let's say you wanted to use the gallery as kind of a polling feature. If you don't want to use our poll app for that, you can use the gallery to poll people. But you can submit photos internally, as well as you can obviously have users submit photos, images, or excuse me, photos, videos, or even audio files to your gallery. And then you can turn on voting. So there's a bunch of different ways to run a gallery contest. Popping into what our gallery submission field looks like I said, you could turn all of these on if you wanted to, and get a bunch of different media content that way. If you're going to use Instagram and Twitter, the key to take away from this is in order for a user to submit a photo from Instagram or Twitter, is they already have to have that photo hashtagged with pre-designated hashtags. So by example, we have Aptivata and contest entry. This is a great way to build hashtag awareness for you or a client. But in order for me to pull in a photo from my Instagram, I'd already have to have those pre-hashtagged. So communicate that in any sort of promotional talk about this. All right, before we jump into the final few items that we want to cover, let's answer a few questions. Robert Mueller asks, do you provide more creative for the gallery templates like basic banners? Where do you find those? We do. So if you go through our templates, you'll be able to add any of those gallery templates to your promotion or to your promotions list, and within those, you'll be able to download some of those assets that have been provided for the gallery. So great question there. I wanted to use the gallery format to showcase local businesses that are currently open. Is there a way to have a clickable link to the client's website after you click their logo? Great question, Casey. Currently, there is not clickable links in the gallery description, but we have added that as a feature request. So hopefully that's something that will be coming soon, because you're right, that would be a great asset to have for local businesses. Assuming, yes, so another question, there's no option to pull in from Facebook. That is correct. The reason being there we used to actually have that feature, but with Facebook's privacy settings, we found that our admins were answering way more questions than they needed to about, why photos weren't being pulled in. There's so many different privacy settings within Facebook that it became more of a hassle than it was worth. So we just encourage them to download those photos and upload them manually there. So great question. Are you able to manually assign a gallery winner, or does choose a winner only allow for a random drawing highest vote selection? You can manually choose a winner. Let's talk about choosing a winner real quick in gallery. So you have a couple of extra options when choosing a winner in gallery. If you're choosing randomly, then it's choose from entries, each entry weighted equally, meaning that the votes don't matter, or choose from entries weighted by amount of votes, meaning that, I could have 10,000 votes, Ryan could have 9,999. He would still have an opportunity to win because it's just weighting by the amount of votes, but it doesn't mean that that they will be picked because they have the highest votes. It's just like bonus entries there. When you go to choose a winner based on highest votes, then what you'll do is go into the approved tab, hit quick sort, and this contest that we're using as an example doesn't have the highest votes, or doesn't have voting turned on. So this might not be the best example, but you can just hit highest votes and do a quick sort there. It'll pull the highest vote to the top, and that's who your winner is going to be. So if you're going to use the choose winner tab, keep in mind everything here is still at random. Those are all great questions. So let me go mark those off. If you have any more, don't hesitate to ask. This is a little bit longer tips and tricks than we normally do, but that's because there is a lot to gallery. All right, let's talk about once you get submissions. Obviously, photos aren't going to show up automatically, and there isn't a way to turn that on. And the reason why we do that, or sorry, they aren't going to appear automatically on the live contest or on the live gallery promotion, because we want to make sure that all the content coming through has been vetted by the admins first. So Spring at the Farm and the Promise Rainbow, these are great. So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly approve those, and now they'll show up live on my site. Now, once they're approved, oftentimes people will say, hey, you know, I put in the wrong description, or there was a typo in my description. Can I change that? Unfortunately, once a gallery photo has been submitted, the end user won't be able to change it. But if there's details that need to be changed later on the contest, if somebody writes in and needs that type of support, you can go ahead, you know, if there's a ton of photos, you can search them by name, email, or title to quickly find them. And then you click on the photo there, click the edit pin, and you have the opportunity to change out information on the photo submissions as an admin. So that's something to consider when supporting the end user on gallery submissions. So now that they're approved, they're going to show up live on the site. I can obviously on the back end click and view those. Something to keep in mind is sometimes your images will come in sideways. Currently, there isn't a way for the end user to rotate their image, but as you approve them, notice that if you notice that they're sideways, you'll have the opportunity to rotate clockwise or counterclockwise, or swap it 180 degrees. You'll get a notification that there is a little bit of a wait time. What I've found that works best there is to rotate the image before I approve it. Either way, it is going to look, you know, it'll eventually appear in the correct orientation. There's just a little bit of a wait time through the rotation in the servers and so forth. So, so yeah, I just wanted to point out rotations because sometimes you will get sideways photos, and a little tip there that I've learned in running my own photo contest is it's best to rotate them before you approve them. Sometimes they slip through the cracks, and like I said, you know, you can rotate them later. But we got a lot of great submissions off of our little quick gallery contest that we made in the email there. And we had a question come in that says, can you explain matchups? That is exactly where I'm going. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that question off the list there. For my, sorry to keep talking about my my calendar contest, but this segues perfectly into matchups, because what I'm going to do once I get all the submissions is sort them into the months that are appropriate. So January photos, February photos, and so forth. So I'm going to use the feature of matchups. So I'll turn that on. And basically when you click add a matchup, think of it as adding a category. So let's say, you know, my first one is going to be January. Second one is going to be February, and third one is going to be March, and so forth. I won't go through all of those. But now that my matchups are turned on, I can assign the photos to those individual matchups. So you'll see a new button that now says matchup. So I want to assign Danny. Let's say I assign all the animals to January, and you know, all the scenery to February. Any other scenery ones? I'll do that one. And I won't go through all these, but then let's say all the flowers and roller coasters and beehives to March. There we go. So now that we have photos assigned to the matchups, then these are the photos that will appear live on the gallery. So if I jump back to my preview, what I've done by assigning them to these matchups, also known as categories, is now the photos fall in their respective categories. So here's the animal photos in January, here's the scenery photos in February, here's the flowers and beehives and roller coasters in March there. So what that allows users to do, this really comes in handy with voting, is if it's set to 1 vote per person per day, then now with matchups turned on, you add another layer to that. So it's 1 vote per matchup per person per day. So I could vote on my favorite animal in January. I could vote on my favorite scenery in February, and vote on you know, the favorite photos here in March as well. So basically, matchups just add another layer to the voting process there. So it does exactly what it says. With a matchup, you can put things head to head. So for instance, one thing that we do see is kind of like an internal submission type contest is a high school football game of the week. Let's hope for the best and say that you know, high school football is going to be alive and well this fall, knock on wood. And what we've seen people do is say, you know, team A and team B versus team C and team D. You put the two matchups together and have the community vote on which high school football game they want to see aired live on TV or talked about on the radio. One thing to keep in mind is if you have this matchup button turned on, then only the photos assigned to matchups are going to appear. Sometimes we'll see people turn matchups on but leave the photos up in the approved entry, and they say, hey, none of my photos are appearing in my gallery. That's because the matchup is turned on and there haven't been any categories created or assignments made there. So that's matchups. If you don't want to use matchups, you can just, instead of rejecting, you want to just hit remove from matchup and then turn the matchups off as well. But again, another way that gallery is versatile is by throwing in matchups there. So we've covered a lot of information on this call. I feel like we should get close to wrapping this up. We've gone long, but I just want to jump back to my slideshow here and talk about things to consider when building a gallery, and then we'll choose our winner. Syndicating a gallery across all stations. If you have a market that has multiple stations, there's two things to consider there. You can create a gallery as a template and syndicate it down to the stations in that market. But what that does is it just creates different instances of the gallery. So if I submit to one gallery, it won't show up in the other gallery because each version of the gallery is its own instance. So if you want all of the photos to go into one pool, so to speak, then you'll want to create one gallery and then just embed it to all the different websites in that market. There is some give and take of doing both, and we'll be happy to answer questions about that. Again, to reiterate, by default, voting is not enabled. We do get that question a lot just because those vote buttons do appear on that layout preview. And again, the layout preview is not the official preview. You can add a multiple image uploader to the gallery, and that's just an input field option that's available to you where people can submit multiple photos in one submission. We talked about adding a separate thumbnail. You can categorize your contents using matchups. Always collect email opt-ins, whether it's from the submitter or people voting. Make sure you have that checkbox turned on. And Facebook share images and text is in a different location than in sweepstakes. Sorry for the typo there. It's under publishing options in your gallery. So if you were wondering where to switch out your Facebook share image for the contest, it's under the publishing options and Facebook share tab there, rather than in the mobile preview like in sweepstakes. And as we've shown today and gone way over time, there is more than one way to run a gallery. So, oh, I didn't have that pulled up on there. So let's take a look at some questions. Any questions coming in? And while we do that, Ryan, go ahead and get our winner ready. It looks like we have a few questions in the chat here. We have can you please explain the thumbnail separate? I might have missed it. Basically, thumbnail separate allows users to upload a separate thumbnail from their gallery image. So if you want a thumbnail different than the video thumbnail that automatically gets pulled in, you can add a second upload button and have that thumbnail separate. Looks like that was answered already. And we do have our winner selected. It is Brock Matthews. Let's make sure he is on this call here. And congratulations to Brock, you are our winner. Thank you everyone for hanging with us through this long tips and tricks call. We just wanted to make sure we covered all things gallery. Congratulations everyone, and hopefully you have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions about gallery, don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, have a